very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. I'm nice and awful Dutch, but my delight is such.
Hey folks, Ted Cantu right here with the Miracle Mind Shift, and we got a Christmas miracle here for you. This is going back to the 1970s. I am from a town called Muskegon, Michigan. That's where I was born and raised up until I was about 10, and then we moved away. But very simple times back then in the 70s. And when I say simple, I mean we only had like 3 TV stations back then. And there was no internet. There was no, 900 radio stations. It was a very different time, very simple time. But before I get to the miracle, I want to share with you part 1. Now, this revolves around like we had to get a Christmas tree. My uncle and I, my grandpa Pete sent us out to get a Christmas tree. And we went to a Christmas tree farm. My uncle Mike and I, and he went out and he got this, it was a little hatchet. They used to give these little hatchets and send it to the tree farm. You have to chop down your own tree. So we were gone for, hours. I mean, I don't even remember. I remember it was kind of like turning dark when we got home. And we walked all over this field. And every tree that we found had like a crooked trunk to it. So we couldn't we couldn't take it home because we had these Christmas tree stands. You got to fit it into the Christmas tree stand so it can, prop up, the right way. And it wasn't going to go. So anyway, we couldn't come home empty-handed. So we took our chances and chopped this one tree down. And we tied it on top of the car. And we came home. And we brought it in the house. And there was snow on it because it was outside, on the forest. And we had to kind of unthaw it. And, tree had to kind of expand. And it looked good to me. We brought it in. My grandpa Pete was putting inside the stand. And he realized that the base was completely crooked. It was like 30 degrees this way and 20 degrees that way, and it was like a zigzag thing. We couldn't get that thing to fit inside the stand. We got yelled at pretty good for that one. So doesn't end there. Story keeps going. We get the tree up and start putting some lights and stuff on it, and we heard like this sound inside the trunk, and the tree started moving. And it turns out there was a mouse that was living inside the tree, and he ran out of the hole on the bottom and ran across the living room floor. And it scared the hell out of my grandmother. She started screaming, and it ran into the kitchen. And I don't think we got it. I think it was hiding inside the cupboards. Somehow got inside the house. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2. On the weeks leading up to Christmas, I would spend the weekends over there, and I'd sleep on the couch. And I was traditional for me to stay up, till like 2 in the morning, and I'd watch the horror films, right? And I think I was going to watch the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I think that's what it was. And we're gonna make a pizza. Back in those days, we didn't have Domino's, but if you wanted a pizza, it was kind of like you had to plan for it for the whole week. You had to make some time for it. And pizzas back then came like in a little box, and you had to, put the yeast in it. And you had to make your own dough, and I think they still sell those, but back then that was our Domino's. So there's no pizza delivery guys back then. So we made this pizza, and that was the plan. We're gonna make this pizza. And my dad came over to visit, and my grandma went down the cupboard to get a pan, and there was a mouse in there, a live mouse, and he was eating crackers, eating some crumbs, like this, And my grandma goes, "Oh, a mouse!" She grabs the thing, she grabs the door and she slams it, just slams it, and runs out of the room. And my grandpa went over there and he opens up the cabinet, looks inside, and there was that mouse. She had knocked it out. The mouse was like this. He was like, completely knocked out cold. She knocked him out. And my grandpa grabbed a paper plate or something. He scooped them on the plate and threw them outside. And the mouse, the snow must have woken back up because he was gone, or either a cat grabbed him. I don't know. He had a lot of stray cats over there. So okay, so that's that little humorous story. So now you know, in Muskegon, back in those days, what we used to do is chop down our own trees. Here's the miracle story. All right, so the next year, my mom sent me and my dad out to go look for a Christmas tree. And same thing. It was over on Apple Road. There was a tree farm out there. And it was out in the country. And we went, we were gone. We were gone a long time. And we could not find a perfect tree. And I kept reminding him, well, look, the last time we tried this, we had a crooked trunk. So, we got to keep that in mind. So we were out there all day. We couldn't find one. We were gone so long that the guy who ran the tree farm went home. So there was nobody to pay. He was gone for the day. But the funny thing was, we head back to our car. We didn't have a tree, and there's no one to pay. And my dad was getting ready to move the car, and I got on the passenger side. I was about 12 years old, if that. And we moved the car, and we noticed that right behind the car, behind the snowbank, was this perfect Christmas tree that somebody had put there. Oh, I don't know how it got there. And the funny thing was, it had like a little red bow on it, like it was a gift. That's a true story. I don't know how it got there, but it was perfect. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. And why anybody didn't grab it when they had the chance, I'll never know. So we didn't pay for it, but we grabbed it. We got some twine and we tied it to the roof of our car and we went home. Pretty amazing. And that was kind of like what I think about, the quantum field and thinking pure thoughts. Now, keep in mind, I was a kid back then. I was also an altar boy. If you know what those are, I was serving in Catholic Mass. I always had high intentions. I never got in trouble as a kid, at least not then. That came much later. But the idea was to align yourself with your best intentions in harmony with the Holy Spirit. And these miraculous, let's say miracles, but miraculous events will take place around you. The tighter your alignment, the more joy and unexpected God winks, as we call them, will appear. So those are my thoughts for the day. Anyway, so there you go. There's a little miracle story for you. We have no idea where that tree came from, but it was amazing. But pay attention to everything. Like in the words of Edgar Allan Poe, what did he say? He goes, no matter if you're living, if you're dying, if you're drowning, make note of your sensations. And I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like that. And that's a little intense, but you get the idea. Pay attention to the smallest details, and you'll be surprised at the little jumps that you'll make along your journey on your spiritual path. This has been Ted Cantu, and I'm wishing you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And thank you for joining me on the Miracle Mindset. And if you need to get a hold of me for anything, you can always find us at tedcantu.com. Also, if you want to email me any kind of questions at all about the show, you can always find us at tedcantu@gmail.com. And you can always call me at 248 277-6141. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you online.